Welcome back. We're really excited to introduce our new instrument, GuitarSynth X. If you're familiar with our other instruments, we have those based off of a platform called Create Engine. This one is based off a new platform called Series X. And with both platforms, we were trying to achieve something different, something unique for those platforms. And for this one, the whole purpose behind this is to create a more streamlined and simple approach that's more efficient and just gets a great sound for you immediately. And I think we achieved just that with this instrument. There's not a lot to go through on this, but don't let that fool you. It still packs a great punch and a great sound. And I'm constantly surprised and inspired when I bring this up, what I'm able to get from this instrument. So let's dive in. What you have is a 2-layer synth, both layer A and layer B. And since they're both pretty much the same, throughout this video, I'll probably just focus on one layer, but just know that all the parameters in one layer are also in the other layer. So starting from the top, you have two different sample content pools. You have one guitar and one pads. Right now we're focused on guitar, so if I click where the name of the sample is, you'll get a drop down with all the different options for samples. Under guitar, you have about 15 different samples currently. And if I switch over to pads, you have a little over 50 different samples that you can choose from. And the reason we did this is it is called GuitarSynth X. We wanted to give you the option to blend both guitar timbred sounds with synth timbred sounds. You can create pads, plucks, percussive sounds, keys, etc. with it and get a really unique and great quality sound. Coming down, we'll just go over to controls. And this gives you a lot of your basic parameters. You got volume, octave, attack, decay, and release. You'll notice there's no sustain. But basically what happens is if you have, as I hover over decay, you can see it's at 100%. When it's at 100%, it will sustain the sound. So if I just hold the sound like I'm about to do, you'll just get a constant sustain. Anything below that, even 99%, it will decay eventually. And so I can change all this how I want. Right now, I'm gonna do something here that I'll explain later. I'll put that there, and then now that I put the attack down and the decays down, we get much more of a pluck sound because it is a guitar-based acoustic guitar harmonic pure. So you are going to get a pluck sound from something like that. But hopefully what you can tell is just by tweaking some of this just a little bit, we can get almost an entirely different sound out of that, which I think is really great. It's really easy to get really inspiring sounds from this. So moving over to filter. Over here, again, just your boilerplate filter parameters. You got cutoff, velocity to cutoff, or I'm sorry, cutoff velocity. You've got resonance and grit. So explaining these, cutoff is pretty self-explanatory. Right now it's all the way open. If I bring this down, sounds great. I have different cutoff types. Right now it's on a low pass 18, but clicking right there, you can see all the different types that you have. Coming over, of course, you have your resonance. Right now it's just at 0. And coming over to grit, of course, this is just adding a bit grit or distortion to the actual filter itself. I do want to note something. Right now it's on tube drive. If I click here and I change it to something like Halion 3, this will change the drop-down options you have for the cutoff type, or I'm sorry, the filter type. As you can see, there's a lot more limited options there. Just be aware of that. It's not that you're missing anything. That's just the options that are provided to you based off of the grit type that you have selected. And pretty much that's it for the basic controls in the layer. Like I said, you'll find all of these same controls in layer B over here. But now let's move on to modulation. So for each layer, you have one LFO. And you can get to that LFO right next to the sample content dropdown by clicking LFO A for this one. So LFO A shows up in the middle, and you've got all your basic LFO parameters. You've got the shape of the wave. You can, of course, change the degree of that right here. You also have the sync. So right now it is tempo sunk. we have the phase of it. And if we want to change the tempo sync, we can go down here to sync mode. We can turn this off, and then you will get hertz. So I'll put that back on beat. If you want to get out of this, you can either click outside of it or click on the X in the top left. So how do we end up modulating the sound? On some of the parameters, we already have them pre-assigned. So you can see next to cutoff, resonance, and grit, there is this bypass button at the top left of them. If I click that on, you can see two things graphically happen. One is there's this graphical representation of the rate of the LFO, and the other is the throw or the amount that you want to send to that LFO. So if I want to change how that's affecting the cutoff, I can bring that up and then we can hear it. Of course, you're not hearing it. Why? So this segues into my next point. If you go into the XY, you've got the motion. We're on the motion page for it because there are two XYs. There's a motion and a filter, which more on that in a second. Here, what we can do is we can balance with the X, we can balance between the level of A and B. I had it all the way turned all the way to the left just so that we're hearing A and I didn't bypass B. If I did the same all the way to the right, you'll get only B coming through. Anywhere in the middle or any span between them, you're going to get some balance between both of those layers. But if I push it all the way to A, we're only hearing A. To get more of the modulation, you want to bring the puck up the Y-axis. Now, if you're familiar with our other instruments, we do have a motion knob that acts the same. It's just a macro knob that all the modulation is going to, and you can pull back some of the modulation or dial it back in via that knob. This is the same concept. So if I bring it all the way up the Y-axis, we should hear it now. So you can hear it actually modulating there. If I wanted to make it a bit more apparent, what I can do is I can maybe bring the rate up there and then also extend the throw. So that's how you can dial all that in. It's really helpful if you have multiple modulations going on, but maybe they're all a bit too much, but it would be really tedious to come in here and maybe pull that one down a little bit and then pull this one down because you may not get the exact balance you were looking for. By having this attached to the puck, we can just dial some of it back. Additionally, what's really great about this is you can also choose to automate this. So we have down here both the X and the Y also in faders. And if you right click where it says LFO amount, I have a few different options. I can assign to a new automation. I can learn CC for it, or I can also assign it to a quick control, which it would go down here to one of the quick controls. And by doing that, you can now automate this whole process and record a unique pattern or performance from that. So while we're on the XY, let's go over to the filter XY. So over here, this is just a global filter. It's at the end of the chain. On the Y-axis, this is similar to your high pass. If I wanted to thin out the sound. And on the X-axis, it's similar to your low pass filter. And just like the Motion XY, these can be automated too with the same option. So right-clicking on the faders down there, you get the assign to new automation, learn CC, or assign to quick control. Another note on that, by default, your mod wheel on your MIDI controller is already assigned to control the mask. So I'm moving my mod wheel now, and you can see it being moved. All right, moving further down, we have our effects. You have two slots for effects. These work in series. So it goes from the left into the right. And if you go, so the one that you're seeing right now, it's our delay. And you know this because it's highlighted in red. If I click this drop down, you can choose no effects right there. Or you have chorus, flanger, phaser, distortion, bit crusher. And under time, you have delay, reverb, and reverence. These are pretty standard in terms of all the parameters that you'll find in there. If you want to bypass any of these, towards the right of this slot, You can click this button. This will now bypass the delay. We'll still hear the reverb, but we don't have the delay. Vice versa, I can bypass the reverb. And now you can hear just the delay. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And then the last page that we have to go through is just the global parameters up here in the cogwheel. So clicking the cogwheel, again, these are global parameters. So this is your global volume, pan, octave. You do have the layer specific of velocity to level. And then we do have a unison. Again, this is global. Lastly, you have a global EQ down here. So if you want a little bit more band control over your low mids or your high mids, you have those options here along with an additional low and high in there. You can bypass this whole thing if you don't want it. So you can just click that. Now it's bypassed, so you don't have to deal with that. To get out of this, again, you can just click the X. And that's pretty much it. There is one last feature, though, I do want to go over. And this is a really unique feature to this instrument. We don't have it on any of the instruments. As you can see, sprinkled throughout the interface are these red dice. These add a randomizing feature to the instrument. So where they're positioned basically will dictate what they are randomizing. So if I go back to layer A, we have this dice in between guitar and pads. This will randomize based off the pool that you were selected on. So right now we're selected on guitar. Based off that, this will randomize the sample content and give you a random sample from there. But like I said, it's pool specific. So if I wanted to randomize something in pads, I'll need to click pads and then hit the randomizer. And this will give me a completely different sample. So what this will do is I can randomize the samples, but it will keep all the other parameters the same. So you don't have to worry about locking those or anything like that. It will keep them the same. It'll keep your volume, your filter, etc. exactly the same, but you'll be able to change the timbre of that layer. So if I come over to pads, I can do the same thing, hit it a few times, get a completely different sample. Now, if I want to randomize any of the controls or the filter down here, I can click the dice between both controls and filter. And you can see it changing everything in there. There are a few parameters that it won't change, and that's going to be your volume. We do have it limited on the throw for the resonance, just so it doesn't hurt your ears or damage your speakers. In the case, it goes all the way to 100 or something. So you can see that it's really easy to get a great sound, get something unique. You don't have to sit here and spend a long time tweaking things to get something right. You can just kind of play around with it, hit a few of the dice and see what you get. And I can't tell you how many times we did this creating presets. And it was just like, oh, that's pretty great. I don't have to do much more than that. Likewise, we also have it down here for the effects. So if you want to change out the effects and see what you get, you can do that too. Lastly, you do have this one up here. What this does is this will randomize the parameters for both A and B together. So instead of having to do them separately, you can see as I do this, that it's randomizing both the filtering controls for both A and B. With that said, that's the instrument. We really enjoy this instrument and what we were able to get out of it. And we're continuously finding inspiration with it and finding it in using it in our compositions. And we hope you will too.